You're listening to the Aesthetically Speaking podcast, presented by Nextech.
Good morning. You're listening to the Aesthetically Speaking podcast presented by Nextech. I'm Robin in tow, and we are coming to you live from med+spa, the med+spa show here in Las Vegas. Super excited this morning. We are on the floor, day 2, and our special guest this morning is Jared Rohrer. He is from Aesthetic Conversion. Jared, welcome to our podcast.
I'm so excited to be on here and live and in person.
I know,
at
right?
The show. Yeah. So
and it's busy and it's exciting.
Yes.
And this is like, you and I are at a lot of shows together. And so the energy at this show is always one of my favorites from the way that they interact on the floor.
Yeah, and
cool.
it's buzz. med+spa is, I feel, because I've done this show multiple times, I think they're doing an exceptional job this year of driving attention and movement on the floor. It feels, we're getting a lot more traffic. We're getting a lot more engagement. It could be positioning. Maybe people know us better now, but the floor feels more alive than it has historically.
Let's back up, because you and I can talk about anything and everything. We're good at that. Let's tell the listeners a little bit about you and your business.
Yeah. Okay. So my name is Jared Rohrer. I live in Florida. Our business is Aesthetic Conversion, and it is a marketing agency for the field of medical aesthetics. We exclusively work with med spas, plastic surgeons, and estheticians, anybody within the field of medical aesthetics, and we do web, SEO, and Google Ads. So our primary goal is, how do we drive more traffic to your website, and then how do we convert that traffic at the highest rate possible into your sales pipeline? It's often that people will pay for SEO, or they'll pay for Google Ads, or they'll pay for some sort of an exposure channel, but they won't have strategy around it. And then once that exposure gets to their website, they won't have strategy around, how do I convert that lead? They'll just say, oh, I just want a really pretty website. And we make pretty websites, but that's secondary to psychologically converting websites that get people to take action once they hit it. So that's our whole little world.
That's what makes you unique.
Yeah.
Because you really have an energy behind this and a passion. But you know what? All right, so let's back up here a little bit. I've been around this space for many, many, many years. I hate to even give away that age, but I think about the first time that I was at a plastic surgery meeting and a website company was on the floor. Mm-hmm. And I still remember that. It was like, and then all of a sudden the next year there was 5 of them.
Of course.
And it just grew from that perspective. But when I think about even here today, on the floor, the number of companies out there that are really doing this, I think that there's just not enough attention around the impact of what someone that specializes in this space can really contribute to a business.
Yeah.
And you specialize in just that.
Yeah.
But you also get to see a lot of things. You take those learnings and really can apply them back to someone's business. Mm-hmm. And then, more importantly, they're not having to teach you about the space.
No, we're totally
you know
niched. And in most cases, we know more than our clients do. We don't know more about the specifics of how to do their job, but little things like with the GLP-1 situation, we proactively sent a nice, really long email out to our clients saying, hey, here's what's happening across the industry. There are ambulance chasers right now that are starting civil lawsuits over the words semaglutide and tirzepatide, and so we are advising that you take them off your website. We can still have, medical weight loss on your site, and we can make it more ambiguous. But if you are talking about semaglutide and tirzepatide, and God forbid, we're talking about compounded semaglutide and tirzepatide,
there you go.
You're going to get just raked over the coals. And so in other cases too, we're ahead of the curve for some of our clients, and we can practically advise them.
It makes sense. You go to an expert, you want their expertise, but you want them to be proactive and stay ahead of the curve. And so I think that's something that drives differences in what people do.
Yeah.
Today, I want to really focus on lead management and CRMs, because we know that is just all of a sudden blown up. CRMs are not new. Nextech probably had what I would consider the first CRM organically built into their software platform 25 years ago, because the need was always there in plastic surgery. I don't see that there's as many people that are gravitating towards it in this space. Mm-hmm. Like in plastic surgery, it's just, we were ASAPs a few weeks ago, and there was hordes of people just focused on CRM. Got to have it. It's most important. Got to manage this.
Good.
Yeah, it was just crazy. But here, it's not as much of a conversation topic. Why do you think?
No. So there's a couple of reasons. And first of all, I was a Nextech OG. because I worked for Shino Bay was how I got started in the
God,
industry.
that's right.
And I
Love
cut
Shino Bay.
I cut my teeth working with Nextech
That's
and
right.
using the pipeline and using the ability to, anyway, I was a Nextech fan from the beginning because of that. So it's got a special place in my heart.
Yep.
Now, the reason I think CRMs are not a major conversation is, in my opinion, because clinics are not, and practice owners are not tracking the numbers that they need to track. So they don't realize the massive gap they have. We have clients that we are performing above and beyond for that are getting hundreds of leads a month. And they will call us and say, budget is tight. And I'll say, what in the world is going on? I'm thinking of one clinic. They have 2 full-timers and they got 300 leads the previous month. And the leads were authentic. Like, we were calling being like, are these real? Because you might be getting spammed. And they're like, no, we're getting tons and tons. And then they called saying budget's tight and that they're struggling. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing with these leads? They're like, oh, well, we try to call them as much as we can and we whatever. And so I'm starting to clock this a lot more now that people don't have strong tactics around sales conversion rate. And CRMs will give you this incredible view, top-down view of how well am I taking those leads and getting their butts into seats, And so yes, I think there's a lot of amazing tools with CRMs, like remarketing to your existing list and sending out text blasts and sending out email blasts. But the biggest thing that a clinic can do that will make them win this year is maximizing their sales conversion rate, because most of them are converting at about a 20 to 30%
Really?
on average. They're doing 20 to 30%.
And we're talking about med spas.
And we're talking about med spas.
Wow.
On average, they're doing 20 to 30% if they're unintentional. When they get intentional, they can get up to 70%, 80%. And that they're tripling their revenue production from those leads just by getting intentional without doing anything extra, just using a CRM.
It's fascinating because, okay, plastic surgery, we've both been around that. It's front and center. They track conversions. You'll ask any plastic surgeon, what's your conversion rate? And they'll just pop off some number. I don't know that it's necessarily the correct number because who knows how they're actually tracking it. But yes, they get it. In the non-surgical arena, we're used to this like quick flip. They come in, they see you, first day they flip and they have services. So people find that it's less appealing to track that conversion of consult or procedure if they're even having a consult. We're talking about before they ever enter the door.
Yeah.
It's that lead to consult part that most of the time, I think what we're agreeing on is not necessarily happening because this space doesn't really see that need yet. Yeah. But to your point, it sounds like there's definitely some awareness. If you're doing all this work of bringing the leads into them, now you've got to worry about them doing something about it.
So it's mandatory for us that our clients have a CRM. So it's mandatory that they use it. So for us, it's a scoreboard. It's a score for, at least for, as a marketing agency, we're like, no. We are delivering, and here's the scoreboard. Because we had one client that we were crushing for SEO for them. They were on the first page of Google. They were getting tons of leads, and then they called us one fall and said, "Oh, I think we're going to cancel SEO." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like what's going on? What do we do? What do we do? I'm so sorry. And I'm trying to figure out how we can improve." And they said, "Oh, we're just spending a lot of marketing across the board, and we're trying to tighten things up." And I was like, "What? You're trying to cut back on marketing?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're just spending a lot." And I was like, "Can I show you something?" I was like, how is your team managing these leads we're sending? And they said, "Oh, we have a gal in the office. She's been in sales for the last 25 years, and she uses a journal and sticky notes." And I was like, "She what?" I was like, "How do you hold her accountable to whether or not somebody got called?" She goes, "Oh, I guess we don't." I said, "Let me show you something." Over the last 3 months, and so we had a CRM that was set up for them because we assigned dollar value. We asked our client, "Hey, what's your average patient, your ticket worth?" And so I said, "You have $345,000 worth of leads sitting in this CRM, and I promise your gal has not called. If I wouldn't even be a twinkle in your brain if you were converting all of these guys." And she's like, "Oh my gosh." And then they reinvested into their sales process, and they launched a second location that next year because they reinvested into the right thing. Instead of, "Oh, I'm scared about marketing." Actually, no, I'm going to double down and reinvest into sales. And they crushed and launched a second location that following year.
Well, a lot of times I hear, well, we don't want to look like salespeople.
Of course.
But okay, that's a whole other conversation.
I know. I have a whole soapbox about that.
That's a whole other podcast, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's think about this. all right, you've got one person at the front desk. They're answering phones, they're checking people in. You've got these small boutique type of med spas. They may not, they may just be starting out. They haven't really gotten to that next level.
Yeah.
Where does the CRM really help them?
Where does it fit in?
Yeah.
Of course. Well, and God forbid somebody that small doesn't have a CRM, because guess what? If they don't, they're getting their leads through Instagram, through Facebook, through TikTok, through their website, through Google My Business. They're getting it through everywhere. A CRM consolidates all of it into one nice little list that you can hold your team accountable for, that you can say, it looks like so-and-so submitted our Facebook lead form yesterday. She's here on our CRM list. Did you call her? Oh my gosh, I forgot. Okay, well, then she's holding her team accountable, or whoever's holding the team accountable.
Yep.
Instead of, oh my gosh, I'm going to my Facebook DMs. Oh, now I'm in my Instagram DM. Now I'm in my TikTok DMs. Now I'm in my Google My Business. Now I'm in my email. Now I'm in my website. It's a headache to not have a singular point, that everything is coming in through. So a CRM allows you to take all of it and consolidate it into one nice, clean list that you can hold your team accountable to, because you can look at the list of leads and say, oh, did you make notes on this one? And they didn't. Oh, I called them, but I forgot to take notes. It's like, write down how the conversation went, so that in 2 weeks, when we follow up on this lead, what the conversation was around. Because if not, it's, you're just going to be guessing, unfortunately.
Okay, so number one, it consolidates.
Yes.
All right. Secondary to that, so I'm still one person. You've now consolidated my list, but I still have a list.
Yeah.
How am I going to manage that?
So 90% of CRMs do this. And I know you guys are making major upgrades to the Nextech CRM. And I personally know that it's going to be capable of this. Automations. So building automations into your pipelines and into your sales pipelines when you're smaller are critical. So, for example, somebody submits a form on your website. They submit some form on your website. If you're a solo injector and you are currently treating somebody, because best practices to get back to a lead is 10 minutes. At the most, it should be 5 minutes to call a lead that comes in, 5 to 10 minutes during working hours. So
good KPI.
Yes, that's an excellent KPI if you're listening to try 5 to 10 minutes to get back to your leads. Because we had one client that was like, oh, we allow for 24 to 48 hours, and I'm like that lead has been treated by your competition by the time you call them. So when we build automations in, what we can do, they submit the form. Let's say there's a $50 off your first appointment pop-up form on the website. They fill out the form, and then there's an immediate text that goes out to that person. Hey, thank you so much for filling out the pop-up on our form. We're so excited to meet you. When works best for you to come in? Love, ABC Med Spa. And then the person responds. It's a text. They say, oh my gosh, I would love to come in on Friday. What have you done? You've just bought yourself 30 minutes, 40 minutes of grace to get back to that person, and the lead doesn't feel that friction. So you've just given yourself essentially another employee to give yourself a moment of breathing room. And then in 30 minutes, the person hasn't responded to the text. You say, okay, great, let me give them a call and see.
Well, automation can also build right into that. Your online scheduling.
Of course.
So there's just so many ways to think about how do I keep them warm? How do I keep them engaged?
Yeah.
So the automation takes all the guesswork out of them having a staff member have to focus on it.
Yeah.
And then going back to having these very small boutique practices, they don't have the people. They don't have the manpower. So this is, to your point, your CRM is another employee.
Yes.
That you're not having to pay a lot of money for.
Exactly.
And they don't call in sick.
And they never call in sick. They might be busted, but they never call in sick. They might have a little break in their pipeline, but they're never calling
technology,
in sick.
but
exactly. You tweak it and change it. And they work 24/7.
Right?
24/7. That's what I always say about.
And they don't complain about it either.
No, they're perfectly happy. They're perfectly happy.
And they don't want raises.
Mm-mm.
And
No.
they're not poached by competition.
Oh, gosh, this sounds like a great hire.
It's like, I need to hire them right now. So what about, now I've got these leads coming in. How do I measure it? How do I measure, am I doing the right things? Do I have the right type of campaigns in place?
Yeah.
We call them drip campaigns. Do I have the right things, or do I need to tweak things? What are the things that you need that will help you understand that?
Yeah. So any CRM that you use should have a way to mark the lead as one, as, okay, we want them.
Okay.
Now, there are kind of two stages of the lead. There is getting that butt into a seat for a
Right.
consult, and then there is actually, signed, sealed, delivered. They've paid for a treatment and all of that. So there's 2 phases there. What I would do is I would have 2 KPIs, and that's it. 2. I think when we overwhelm ourselves with a million KPIs, then nothing gets done. I would have lead conversion rate, so from lead to consult, and then sales conversion rate from consult to paying patient.
Beautiful.
And you can track that in the CRM. So you can have a couple of different stages of your pipeline. The first stage is new lead. The second stage is first phone call. The third stage is second phone call, and then it's one. Or the last one is maybe call back in a week or something like that. Whatever. Most CRMs, at least, and I know for a fact yours will, track that conversion rate of people that go into the pipeline versus are marked as one. And the average line came out with this stat. They did a really huge study. The average conversion rate of high performing clinics right now is 55%. 55%. Okay. But what I will say is I've spoken to a handful of consultants that are here this weekend, and one of them shoots for their clients to get 65 to 70% conversion rate. One of them gets an average of 80% for their clinics. So you can get that number way up. But if you're shooting at baseline, if you're shooting for 55%, where all you're doing is using a sales pipeline and then dragging that lead into the one category, the win category, you'll at least be able to track that number. And then you can have your sales team track the actual sales conversion. You can do it typically in your EMR, but you could also, if your EMR doesn't have that capability, you can do that within the CRM as well.
So there's a lot of things here that you're tracking, but performance is one of them. But the other thing that's key is, what's my ROI? What's my return on that investment? So I'm paying for a CRM platform, albeit we've already decided that it's a whole lot less expensive than an FTE. What's the factor with ROI that really makes this perfect?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest way to track ROI is if you set a benchmark or a baseline and figure out what your current sales conversion rate is, and then after 4 months, 5 months of religiously using the CRM and seeing that exponential growth, if you went from 20% to 60%, you just tripled your revenue. Okay, you just tripled your top line revenue by using the CRM. ROI, my butt, that is pennies compared to the revenue that you're about to produce. It is a no-brainer to me, where all of a sudden the CRM, and for people who are struggling, adding a CRM might feel expensive in the beginning. They might be, that's a lot of money. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling with blah, 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 blah. And I can understand somebody not wanting the overhead. The problem is not understanding the performance increase that it's adding to your business. It's like you have to. The
top line revenue is huge. Then you start to get sophisticated in what you're looking for, what works, what isn't working, and where do I tweak things? Because if I'm looking at my leads, where am I converting better? Where do I need to shift my information that might be on my website? Maybe I need to shift where I'm actually putting more content out there based upon a specific type of procedure, because maybe I'm not seeing that conversion for that particular procedure that I would prefer to see. But that's where you can really go back into that information, that data, and really start to take it from not just an overall conversion rate, but now I can look at it from a conversion rate of conversion by procedure, conversion by provider. Those things really become more relevant as you start to take it down 2 or 3 levels, and then you really get into the good stuff. I mean, you want to know the top of it, but you got to really get to the other part of it if you want to really understand where your opportunities lie and risks.
That magic word, risk. To any business owner that is listening, if you are feeling anxiety around investment into your business, that is risk, is that feeling. You have to lean into that feeling. I can't tell you how many ceilings I have allowed to be placed on top of me as a business owner because I didn't have the risk tolerance to push through. And so when it comes to, oh my gosh, a CRM, which let's magically call it $500 a month or $600 a month or something like that they're investing, they can initially see, oh, I'm losing that money. And there's this risk factor of, oh, but I have an employee that I pay this, and they're worried about whatever. When you lean into the risk, knowing the reward that you're about to get on the other side, I have yet to do something like that and not have a positive experience. I have yet to lean into risk and not have a positive experience and a positive growth in our business. AmSpa this weekend is a case study in that. I've been buying booths and working shows for years, 5-6 years, speaking on the circuit, and I'll always have a booth. It's always been just me. I bit the bullet and paid for 2 of our employees to have a killer weekend this weekend at the booth. And generally, and this is just our business, so just, obviously this will translate a little bit into clinics. Our business, usually we walk away with 5, 10, 15, 20 like good qualified leads by the end of the weekend. That's like, okay, great, we're following up on sales. My team being here, we have 150 qualified leads right now. The ROI.
Qualified is key.
Qualified leads, not just foo-foos, but qualified 150 people right now in our pipeline that are like, oh yeah, I'm interested. I'm like, I don't know what to do with all these people. We were hoping, like we had our own KPIs. We're like, okay, we were hoping to close this much, sometime within the next week after the show.
Wow. And that's day 1. We just started day 2.
I shudder to think what our list looks like right now. It is going great. And our team is like, hey, by the way, like in fact, this is really funny. We have a big sign that says we're your key to a fully booked practice behind. And we have had multiple people be like, so you're an EMR. And my team's like, we have to get rid of whatever this sign is, Jared. Everyone thinks we're an EMR. I'm like, no, go over to Nextech. That's the EMR that you want to send them to. All that to say, I was nervous about that, and I had a stomachache over investing into marketing.
That flutter of risk. The
flutter of risk, and I leaned into it, and we are dramatically better for it.
And you're prepared for it. You put the tools in place to do it.
Yeah.
You can't just take the concept of risk in business and not recognize that you've got to put the right tools in and lean into the automation that's available these days, because there's so much out there.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the front of the house. We're talking about the leads.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about understanding of the cost to acquire a customer, of the CAC. We're not even thinking about the ROI to the level that we could. But then where a CRM really hits the sweet spot is my retention.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
beefing
the
up
back
retention.
end.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's the beginning and the end. It's all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you really get to understand your lifetime value of your patients.
Yeah.
I find it to be so critical. We talk about acquisition, that's your CRM. We talk about retention, that's your CRM. And then in between it all, you've got basically the management of the patient experience.
Yes. I always say you have to get an A+ in 3 categories as a business owner. You got to get an A+ in marketing, which is driving attention to your business.
Yep.
You got to get an A+ in sales, which is converting that attention into a patient. And you have to get an A+ in service delivery, which is fulfilling on the promises for those first 2 categories. And a CRM allows you to bridge the gap between all 3 of those classes
so
and bring it up. So that a CRM allows you to hold all 3 steps accountable.
Oh, that was beautiful. You said it so well. Jared, we could talk for hours about this stuff, but I think we've really given them something to really think about. I think there's going to be a part 2 and we'll dig into retention.
Yeah, I would love that. I wrote a whole talk for medspa this weekend on how to remarket and build retention and increase lifetime value of your patient.
Oh, we're going to do this for sure. Let's tell our listeners how they can find you.
You can come to aestheticconversion.com. We have a great AI audit that's on that site that you can check out how your website is performing. It's awesome. So fill that little sucker out. Or you can find me, Jared Rohrer, JaredRoars, on Instagram, or our company, aesthetic.conversion, on Instagram. We have a podcast too, the lead magnet, or the patient magnet. Feel free to go find that on Spotify as well.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I love it.
Yeah.
This has been great. Thank you so much. And go enjoy this show.
Oh, I'm going to. It's going to be great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to Aesthetically Speaking, the podcast where beauty meets business, presented by Nextech. Follow and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Links to the resources mentioned on this podcast are available in your show notes. For more information about Nextech, visit nextech.com, or to learn more about TouchMD, go to touchmd.com. Aesthetically Speaking is a production of The Axis, TheAxis.io.